Hello and welcome back to Math 8. This is a video over Section 7, and what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be writing linear equations given 2 points, okay? And what we're going to be able to do is write these equations in slope-intercept form given 2 points. So the first method I'm going to show you is probably the easier method, but what we're going to do is we're going to use slope-intercept form. And remember that slope-intercept form, all right, has y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope and b is your y-intercept, okay? So that's what we've got. And so what we're going to do is we're going to follow this plan here, okay? We're going to, given the order of pairs, we need to first determine the slope, okay, using the slope formula. And then using either point, we're going to find the y-intercept. And once we have the slope and the y-intercept, then we can write our equation in slope-intercept form. So here's our set of points, okay? And so let's go ahead and just go through this. So we got 4, 7, and negative 1, 2. So I'm going to come in here and write 4, 7, and negative 1, 2, okay? And what I'm going to do, like we did before, find the slope. So x1, y1, x2, y2. All right, and my slope is going to be, we're going to do 2 minus 7 over negative 1 minus 4, okay? And so this is going to give me negative 5 up top. Negative 1 minus 4 is going to give me negative 5 down below. So negative 5 divided by negative 5 is 1. Okay, so I have that my slope is equal to 1. All right, now what I want to do is I want to take one of these points. Now, it doesn't matter which one we use, but we're going to use one of these points. Okay, so we get to choose which one. All right, it doesn't matter which one we use, but I'm just going to use this one, the positive values. Okay, and so I'm going to use the point 4, 7. Now, when I have this, all right, every point is in the form of an x value and a y value. So I'm going to write that out. I'm going to say that x is equal to 4, and I'm going to say that y is equal to 7. Okay, so I have these numbers, okay? So I use this guy, and I use these, and I plug it into the equation y equals mx plus b. Okay, so I'm going to substitute my values. Now I have all the values. Okay, I have a y value, I have a value for m and a value for x, but I don't have b. I need to find b. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in 7 for y is equal to 1 for m times x, which is 4, and then plus b. All right, so I've got 7 is equal to 4 plus b, and I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides, and that's going to give me that b is equal to 3. Okay, and so now here's what I've got. I've got my slope, all right? I have my y-intercept, so now I'm just going to write my equation, y equals 1x plus 3. Now I don't need to write 1x, so I'm just going to write y equals x plus 3, and that's my equation, okay? And that's how we do that, all right? So pretty simple. This method is probably the easier one, but there is another method that we'll look at on the next page. Now, what I want to do is write an equation in slope-intercept form of a linear equation represented by this table. So here's my table, okay, x values, y values, and what I want to do is write an equation from this table. Now, I have the column of x values, column of y values. I need to choose 2 points, okay? I can do this from a number of points. But let's go ahead and just choose 2 points, and I'm going to use this one right here, okay, using the point negative 1, 1, and I'm going to use this point here using 2, 7, okay. And so what I want to do is write my equation using these 2 points. All right, so I'm going to write them up here, negative 1, 1, and 2, 7. All right, so I'm going to write this out as x1, y1, x2, y2. All right, so let's write my slope out. M is equal to 7 minus 1 over 2 minus negative 1, okay? And so that's going to give me m equals 7 minus 1 is 6. And this is 2 plus 1, so m is going to equal 6 over 3. So m is going to equal 2. All right, so that's my slope. My slope is 2. All right, now what I want to do is use the point. So I've got my slope, and let's just choose a point. We could use either this first one or the second one. I'm going to use the first one because my numbers are smaller. I prefer to operate with smaller numbers. So I'm going to use the point -1, comma 1. All right, and from here I know that x is equal to -1, and I know that y is equal to positive 1. Okay, so these are the values I'm going to use here and here. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did before. Okay, I'm going to plug my values into y equals mx plus b. All right, I have my y value, which is 1. Okay, and I'm getting that from here. And that's going to equal my slope, which is 2, times my x value, which was -1, and then we're going to add b. So 2 times -1 is going to give me -2 plus b, and that's equal to 1. I'm going to add 2 to both sides. And so I get that 3 is equal to my b, which is my y-intercept. So now that I've got my slope of 2 and a y-intercept of 3, what I'm going to write now is my equation in slope-intercept form and write y equals 2x plus 3. All right, and that's that. All right, so that's what we got for those. Okay, same process. Now let's go ahead and take a look at another way we can do this. Okay, so on this page, we're going to be writing a linear equation using 2 points and putting that in point-slope form. Okay, now point-slope form, okay, is as such. Okay, this is the equation y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times x minus x sub 1. Okay, where m is my slope. Okay, and x sub 1 comma y sub 1 is a point on the graph. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and do this for this set of points, -2, 5, and then -1, -3. So -2, 5. So -2, comma 5, and -1, and then, what is it, 3? -3. Okay. So -1, -3. All right, so I'm going to call this x sub 1, y sub 1. X sub 2, y sub 2. All right, so let's first calculate my slope. Okay, that part doesn't change. So I'm going to do -3 minus 5 over -1 minus -2. Okay, and so then this is going to give me -8 over -1 plus 2. And so m is equal to -8 over positive 1. So then m is equal to -8. All right, and so that's my slope. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I have my slope. I'm going to use the point -2, comma 5. Okay, and I'm going to call this x sub 1, y sub 1. All right, and so from that, I usually write out x sub 1 is equal to -2. Y sub 1 is equal to 5. Okay, so using point slope form, y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times x minus x sub 1. All right, what I'm going to do is plug my values in. Okay, so I've got y minus y sub 1, which was 5, okay, is equal to -8 times x minus x sub 1, which was -2. All right, so now what I want to do is simplify this, okay? This is currently, and let me do this. So y minus 5 equals -8 times x plus 2, okay? This is in point slope form, okay? But what I want to do is put this into slope-intercept form. So I'm going to solve this equation for y, all right? And let me do that up over here. So y minus 5 equals, let me write this down, y minus 5 equals -8 times x plus 2. Okay, so I'm going to solve this equation for y. Okay, I'm going to distribute my -8 into both. So I got y minus 5 is equal to -8x minus 16. Okay, and then I'm going to add 5 to both sides. And so I get y is equal to -8x and then minus 11. All right, and that is our answer in slope-intercept form. Now, what we have to understand, okay, so this is slope-intercept form. Okay, these two things are the same equation. They're just written differently, okay? They're the same thing, okay? And we can use one or the other. Now, sometimes point-slope form lends itself better than slope-intercept form, okay, as far as the method on which we could do this. So, but you need to know both because sometimes, test questions will ask you, all right, write this equation, but the equation will be in point-slope form instead of slope-intercept form. So we have to know both, okay? And let's go ahead and do this one, okay? So let's do this example. I'm going to call this x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. Okay, we're going to do the same method. All right, find my slope, which is 3 minus negative 8. So 3 minus negative 8 over 3 minus 3. Okay, let's see what we get here. Okay, on this one, we get, this is really 3 plus 8 over 0. Ooh, this is interesting. Okay, so this is going to give us 11 over 0. Now, here's the deal. This, we can't divide by 0. Okay. And so since I can't divide by 0, my slope is undefined. Slope is undefined. All right. So because of that, we are going to have a vertical line. Okay. Vertical line. Remember what happens, okay, if we get our different types of slope. We have positive slope, negative slope, we have zero slope, and we have undefined slope, okay? So we're going to have a vertical line here, okay? That's what we're going to do. Now, the vertical line needs to go through whatever x value we have, which is 3 and 3, okay? So my line, my equation, is simply going to be x is equal to 3, okay? And so that's, I'm doing this because if you get an undefined slope, all right, that's the conclusion you have to draw. All right, if you can't divide by 0, okay, not it, you can't, all right. So therefore you have a vertical line and it has to go through the x values that you got, okay? All right, next problem. Okay, write the equation in slope-intercept form of a linear function represented by the table. So we have done this one on the previous page, okay? And we already know, we did that using the other method, but we already know that our equation, all right, is going to be y equals 2x plus 3, okay? Now, that's from the previous page. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same exact thing, but we're going to use point-slope form on this. All right, so I've got the point negative 1, 1, negative 1, 1, and the point 2, comma 7. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. All right, so let's first find our slope. M is equal to 7 minus 1 over 2 minus negative 1. So our slope is going to be 6 over 2 plus 1. So slope is going to be 6 over 3, which our slope is going to be 2. Okay, so we already know that. Now let's use slope-intercept or point-slope form. Okay, I'm going to use this first point. Okay, you can use whichever one you want, but because we've already labeled x1, y1, that's kind of how I typically do it. So x sub 1 is equal to negative 1. Okay, and then y sub 1 is equal to positive 1. All right, so I have these values. Now I'm going to plug this into point-slope form. All right, m times x minus x sub 1. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do y minus y sub 1, which is 1, is equal to 2 times x minus negative 1, okay? And let's see what we get here. I've got y minus 1 is equal to 2 times x plus 1. I'm going to distribute my 2, so I get y minus 1 is equal to 2x plus 2, add 1 to both sides, and I get that y is equal to 2x plus 3. So notice that we get the same thing, okay? It doesn't matter which method we do, okay? Kind of whichever one you're more comfortable with. Ultimately, you will have to get to this point, y equals 2x plus 3, but you need to know how to get there, either using point slope form or using slope intercept form. So I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll see you in a bit. Thanks a lot. Bye.